I'm a simple man, don't wanna complicate ya.
What's up, guys? I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
And this is My Wife as a Board Gamer, a show about my love for my wife, my love for board games, and what I'm doing to bring the two together. I've been really anticipating this episode because this episode we're going to talk about Everdell.
Everdell is a game designed by James A. Wilson, illustrated by Andrew Bosley, and published by Starling Games in 2018.
Let's go to the table for a brief overview of how this game plays. Everdell is a 1 to 4 player game where we the players play as critters who are building up our little critter city to prepare for the oncoming winter. Each player gets a hand of cards and 2 worker meeples to start the game with. After each player has received their starting hand, 8 cards are revealed into the meadow, which represents a shared hand for all players. Now, on a player's turn, they can do one of 3 actions. So, the first action you could do is you could take one of your critter workers and send them out into the forest to collect resources. Okay? Wherever you see a paw print with a circle around it is where you can send your critter worker. Now, some paw prints have a broken circle around it, and you can send as many workers as you want there. But if it's a paw print with a closed circle on it, once a player sends one of his critter workers to that spot, no other worker can go there. So you got your basic action locations. You have your forest locations that are randomly chosen at the beginning of the game. You got this location here. And you got these locations here. But you can't visit these locations until autumn. You also have your basic and special event cards that when achieved, you can send your critter worker there and get extra points at the end of the game. The next action you can do is play a card from your hand or the share hand in the middle, paying the resources that are in the upper left-hand corner. So to put the general store in play, you would need 1 resin and 1 pebble, and the wood carver needs 2 berries. But if you have the critter that corresponds with that construction, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, so this general store will need a shopkeeper, you could play that critter for free, ignoring the berry cost and making sure you put a doorknob on the construction card to signify that you've already used that ability. Now there are 5 different cards in the game. Starting at the top left-hand corner and going across, you have your growth cards, which will give you resources when played. You have your governor cards, which will give you an ongoing benefit throughout the rest of the game. You have your destination cards, which will give you another place that you can send your critter worker to. You have your traveler cards, which will give you a one-time benefit when played. And then you got your prosperity cards, which will give you a way to make extra victory points at the end of the game. Also, you have common construction or critter cards, and you have unique construction and critter cards. The common construction or critter cards, you can actually play as many as you want into your city. But the unique ones, you can only have one. So that university in the top right, I can only have one of those in my city. When you get to the point where you can no longer build cards from lack of resources and you don't have any more critter workers to send out into the forest, you would do your third action, and that will be changing seasons. You will retrieve your critter workers that you sent out into the forest. You would take a new worker and place it into your supply. And then depending on the season that you're going into, you would do an action. So If you're going to the spring, you would take one worker and activate all growth cards that you have played into your city. The summer, you would take a new worker and you would draw 2 metal cards and put them into your hand. And if it is autumn, you would take 2 new workers. So at that time, you have a total of 6 workers, and then you would activate all growth cards that you have played into your city. Now that it is autumn, now you can send your workers to these location spots and discard that number of cards to give you extra points at the end of the game. So this is how your city might look at the end of the game. Once all players have gotten to where they can no longer take any actions from lack of resources or such, the game is over and everybody will count up their victory points, and whoever had the most victory points will be the winner of Everdell. So I didn't go over every aspect of how the game plays because I wanted to go ahead and get into what we think about Everdell. So first I want to talk about theme. I think the theme is all through this game. I mean, first off, you got this big tree in the middle of the board. Now, the tree ain't really needed, but they took that extra step to add the theme to that game, and it has a great table presence. So when people are walking by, they're like, what is this game you're playing? And also, you got these critters that are going out into the forest, gathering resources to build their constructions in their city and to attract other critters to come live in their city. And I think that's really thematic. I mean, I really enjoy the theme of this game.
I really love the components because they are so thematic. You have forest critters gathering resources, and the resources they gather are twigs, pebbles, resin, and juicy berries. It just doesn't get more thematic than that.
Yeah, you cannot appreciate the components of this game until you hold those juicy berries in your hand. They could have just used cardboard pieces or whatever, but they actually went that extra mile to make these berries. And another thing that I like about it is, you know, the little worker meeples. They could have just made them all uniform, just different color. But they went that extra mile to make the little squirrel meeples and little rabbit meeples and little porcupine meeples. I like playing with the porcupine meeples. And it's just really like they just really took it that extra step to make this game. So now let's talk about the art. The art in this game is gorgeous. I mean, it's like I kickstarted this game. And when I was browsing through the Kickstarter games, I saw this box art and I was like, wait a minute, what is this game about? And I went into the description and I immediately kickstarted this game. And I mean, when I got the game, I opened the box up. It came with this really nice sleeve. And I opened the box up and the art on these cards are amazing. I mean, like, I really love the detail they went through to make these cards. My favorite card is the husband. Not because that I am a husband, but because you got this little mouse that's leaning on a blueberry looking like he ain't going to take no crap from nobody. And I mean, that's hardcore right there. I love the art in this game.
I agree with you. The art is stunning.
Yeah, so next let's talk about the mechanics.
So I really like the mechanics of this game. The mechanics include worker placement, tableau building, and resource management. And honestly, I think my first exposure to worker placement was in this game. What I like about those mechanics is they give you choice. You get to decide where you're going to send your workers, which resources you're going to gather, and which constructions you're going to build, which critters you're going to try to attract. It's just, you can play this game multiple times, and it's a different game every time because you get to make different choices every time. I love that about this game.
Yeah, there's a wide variety of mechanics in this game, and it's in a package that's accessible so that to people that are just getting their feet wet into board games. This is considered a next step game. Like, you got your Pandemic and your Forbidden Island and your Ticket to Ride as your gateway. But when people are like ready to open that door just a little further, you show them Everdell, and they will not regret playing this game. So let's talk about teaching this game. Now, when teaching this game, if I'm teaching it to more than one player, like if it's 2 to 3 players, I try to hover over the game, not be involved in the game and hover over it, because it's going to take a couple of plays for new players to learn what the combos that the cards do. Because, my one knock against the game is the print is real small on these cards. But once you know what the cards do and you see that picture, you already know what you got to do, So I tend to try to help everybody out, showing them, hey, you could do this, or hey, if you play this, then you could play this, or whatever. So yeah, teaching this game is a great experience, but it is very easy to teach. You're doing one of 3 actions. So, and it doesn't take long for people to learn this game.
Well, I think this was my first next level game. So it took me to the next level of games where a lot was going on. And it took me a couple of rounds to kind of get the hang of it. So yes, it's not a beginning game. It's more intermediate. But it's a great entree into tableau building or worker placement or resource management. So it's a great vehicle to teach those mechanics, and it will equip the recreational gamer for future gaming for future games in this hobby.
So overall, do we have any negatives? Well, I spoke on one, which is the print is small on the cards. And there is a slight one, like when you're playing 4 players, that tree will get in the way. But, if it's 3 players, I don't mind sitting behind the tree because I pretty much know what the cards are. But overall, this game is a great game to have in your collection. I mean, this ranks right up there with the viticultures and the wingspans. You should have this game in your collection. The art is beautiful. The components are great. And I'm sorry, I'm gushing over the game. This is my favorite game of all time.
We love this game.
So, anyway, if you like the content of this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm working on the Twitter thing. I'm trying to get used to that one. But yeah, just if you could check out Everdell, you will love it. So, this has been My Wife as a Board Gamer. I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
And we will see you next time.